Welcome to part 3 and the conclusion on my review of the Dracula movies. I'm gonna conclude this by looking at the Dracula movies made in recent years. The first movie that we're gonna look at is Dracula 2000. Dracula 2000 is about Dr. Van Helsing, played by Christopher Plummer, is keeping himself alive by using Dracula's blood. He does this so he can keep guard over Dracula's prison, which he has watched over for roughly 100 years. Then some thieves break in and steal Dracula's coffin. It's a coffin, but these guys don't think so.
The Holy Grail, the Golden Fleece, the crown fucking jewels, whatever it is, it's inside.
Seriously? These guys should have gotten the memo. The plane that they fly in crash lands in Louisiana, where a young woman named Mary, played by Justine Waddle, becomes the affection of Dracula. In this one, Dracula is played by Gerard Butler. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Not that he's bad or anything, but it always surprises me that he's in this one. Dracula 2000 was trying to modernize a well-known character, but by doing so, it dumbs it down. I like this part where Dracula's just walking on the street and he sees a modern-day music video. Besides updating the story and taking place in modern times, it decides to change some things up. Like, the cross only works on a vampire if they're Christian.
Sorry, sport. I'm an atheist.
God loves you anyway.
But the oddest thing is Dracula is not Vlad the Impaler. Instead, he is Judas, the man who betrayed Jesus. With that, it was interesting because it explained why vampires' weaknesses are holy objects, but I strongly prefer Dracula as Vlad the Impaler. Dracula 2000 tried to make a different Dracula movie, but made the wrong kind of changes in the process. I give Dracula 2000 2 stars out of 4. I know that I'm kinda cheating because the next Dracula movie has nothing to do with the Bram Stoker novel, but it does have one of the characters from the book as a title character, so close enough. Van Helsing was written and directed by Stephen Sommers, who at the time was best known for writing and directing the remake of The Mummy and its sequel The Mummy Returns. Unlike the other characterizations of Van Helsing where he's portrayed as a middle-aged old man, this one makes him a young action hero. Van Helsing, played by Hugh Jackman, is a monster hunter for the Vatican. His latest assignment is to slay Dracula, played by Richard Roxburgh, who is murdering a family who are allies with the Vatican. Van Helsing goes to Transylvania to protect Princess Anna, played by Kate Beckinsale, who is the last in the Valerian family. When I saw this movie as a kid, I loved it. But for some reason, critics hated this movie. Even to this day, I'm still baffled why they hated this movie so much. It's got so many great action scenes that I don't have time to talk about all of them, so let's talk about the monsters. Richard Roxburgh as Dracula was interesting. He comes off as cold, but kind of overdramatic.
I feel no love, nor fear, nor joy, nor sorrow. I am hollow.
But what makes his Dracula stand out is that he has an awesome bat transformation. I guess a regular bat wasn't scary anymore, so something like this was great. I know that Gary Oldman's Dracula did something similar, but this one's a lot more intimidating. The Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman, well, not really the Wolfman, are added into the mix. I know we're supposed to sympathize with the Frankenstein monster, but I just found him annoying.
Ah, you wretched undead! I shall have my revenge! Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil!
The Wolfman is like a werewolf mixed with the Incredible Hulk. I also love how he turns into a werewolf by ripping off his skin. It's definitely creative and new. I think the great addition to this movie are Dracula's brides. In the previous movies, they just stood there in the background or seduced their victims. But in this movie, they are given a huge upgrade. The one bride that stands out is Alara, played by Elena Anya. She toys around with Princess Anna so much to the point where it leads to her downfall.
I think if you're going to kill someone, kill them. Don't stand there talking about it.
Kinda reminds me of another favorite movie of mine.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
So Van Helsing is a movie that's definitely misunderstood. Sure, some of the CGI is dated, but it's definitely one underrated movie. I give Van Helsing 3.5 stars out of 4. As a side note, Richard Roxburgh met his future wife on set. Good for them, but unfortunately, I can't say the same for the vampire genre. After Van Helsing, the vampire genre took a nosedive with many mediocre vampire movies that would butcher up the vampire legend. The abomination known as the Twilight Saga is responsible for most of the damage. Eventually, a dark age has to end sometime. And the movie to end that, ladies and gentlemen, is Dracula Untold. Originally, this movie was going to be called Dracula Year Zero, and Sam Worthington was supposed to play Dracula. Dracula Untold is about Vlad Dracula, played by Luke Evans, is told by the Turks to give 1,000 boys, including his own son, to fight for Muhammad II, played by Dominic Cooper. But Dracula refuses and knows that his country can't defeat the Turks. He then seeks help from a mysterious man known as the Master Vampire, played by Charles Dance. The Master Vampire turns Dracula into a vampire so Dracula can fight against the invading Turks. Like Van Helsing, don't listen to the critics. I think the reason why many of them are disliking it is that it's not very historically accurate. If you want to watch something that's historically accurate, just watch the History Channel. Oh wait, I take that back. But let's be honest. What does driving trucks on ice and chopping down trees have to do with history? But I digress. I was a little worried because it was rated PG-13, but I was pleased that they showed blood and Dracula impaling his victims. The action scenes were good, but they were kinda ruined with all the shaky cam. The one thing that I didn't have any complaints about was the CGI, which looked great. I love the scene where Dracula fights the Turkish army with bats. Some people thought the whole bat fist thing was silly, but I thought it was awesome. So Dracula Untold is a good movie. There were some minor plot holes, but I would be spoiling the movie if I told you what they were. It was surprisingly a little over an hour and a half long and well paced. On one final note, Universal Studios recently announced that they intend for Dracula Untold to be the first movie of a new classic Universal monster movie universe. If that is so, I'll welcome it 100%. I give Dracula Untold 3 stars out of 4. So there it is. Whether it's the book, TV shows, or movies, Dracula is definitely one of the most iconic fictional characters for a reason. I am aware that there were some Dracula related movies that I excluded from the list, but I had my reasons. Anyway, thanks for watching.
What is that?
I am Count Vladislaus Dracula.